play it all or nothing. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Parker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Not that holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter. You know I'm facing. When I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it.
Welcome to Takeover from the crib. And every episode of Takeover to me is special, but this one is gonna hold a special place. We got Mr. 5'10", Mr. Drop 30 points on Sharif Cooper, who's a top 10 speculated pick. We got Mr. I Can Do It All, starting point guard for KSU, Terrell Burton in the house. Say what's up to the people, TB.
Hey, what's going on? What's going? Thank y'all for having me on Takeover. Let's do it. I'm ready with y'all, my man.
All right, how my other cats doing? Josh and DeAndre, how's it going?
Well, we're happy to have you. What was the nickname so I can get it right?
Oh, it's TB. It's just his initials.
TB? All right, cool. I just want to make sure it wasn't anything extra. All right, it's good to have you, TB. We're happy to have you. And of course, I mean, all of y'all already know that I'm feeling relatively chipper because of one specific team out of Atlanta, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it today because I feel like I always talk about them. So I'm going to pass it to D.
I'm doing good, just like every other episode. So I'm ready. Let's get it.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and throw the first question to my guy, TB. During these playoffs, there has been a multitude of injuries. It's kind of been a weird playoff, just like last season with the bubble. With all these injuries and all these outlying factors, do you think there'll be an asterisk towards this year's winner of the championship?
All right, so I'm kind of in the middle because I think it can be, but then again, I think it can't be because you got to think about it. If there should be an asterisk by this one, then that means there should definitely be an asterisk by the last one. And concluding how long of a break they had right before right before the bubble. But then again, I don't know. Like some of these injuries, like Jamal Murray and like Jaylen Brown, like I don't know. Like I'm really 50-50 with it because it can really go both ways, in my opinion.
I'm gonna go ahead and help you. So being from an athlete who's gotten hurt in certain situations, can you kind of relate to those athletes who really can't play? Like, do you think they're saying in their heads, if I'm playing, this is a totally different story? Oh,
for sure. Because after I tore my ACL, being on that sideline and having to watch, like not even like being behind the bench at that and watching, like it's crazy. Because like it feel like you can't even contribute. Like you can tell them, like you can tell like the other point guard or the other shooting guard like what you see, but then it's like it's different when you out there. Like because if you coming from the bench and then you get on the court, like you already see how the floor of the game going. Like you can tell what's going on. Like this ref is calling this. Like they calling touch fouls. They might not. So it's totally different, especially like if you were like I'm not a star player or nothing, but like say you are a star player like Jamal Murray or something. Oh yeah, like you mad that you're not out there. Like you putting everything on the line your whole season. Like you just especially if they get eliminated, you start going through your brain like I could have did this. What if I could have did that? It hurts.
You said you were kind of in the middle, and you explained how the injuries impact like a team and it impacts the player specifically. But how are you on the other side of it? How can you explain your stance of why there wouldn't be an asterisk put into this season?
Because in my case, I feel like that's for like the role players. That's their time to step up. Like they all put in all this hard work. Mm-hmm. And you're going against these star players every day. Like you're capable of doing it. Like you're not on the NBA roster for no reason. Like you can obviously hoop. I feel like this is just your time to like step up and get a name for yourself. Like show people like I know he the man, but then again like I can do this too. Like I can hoop. Like he's not the only one. Like I can fill in his shoes. Like when Chris Paul was out, Cameron Payne, that game went crazy. Like just like he can do whatever he has to do to win. Just people like that. That's their time.
I'm going to say no, there should not be an asterisk to whoever wins this championship. Although I do believe that it will be in the back of everyone's mind. Like when we get older and we talk about this, we're always going to say, well, this was a season where a lot of people were injured. But as TV referenced, there was a lot of star players who were injured last year as well. You have Kevin Durant, Kyrie was injured, Steph and Clay were injured at a point in time. Dame was injured, Luka, Russell Westbrook, Giannis, and other players were injured too. So I'm not going to punish a team who wins because it isn't fair to hold them at fault for that, because it's like you can't blame them for other teams getting injured. And it's not like you can see this coming. Like an injury that happens, we never see it coming. Like it's always such a surprise to us. But like players like Trae Young, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Paul George, players that have really stepped up during this playoffs, I'm not gonna hold that against them. I like as good as they've been playing. I don't want to put an asterisk on the championship that they've earned. And if anything, we should be looking at the NBA and the commissioner for starting a season so early, especially after a season like last year where it was already riddled with injuries. And as far as the teams that are left, we can't really say that there's an asterisk if they win, because especially when you think about the injuries, because the teams now have injuries too. When you look at the Suns, you have Chris Paul, he had the shoulder injury and he was on COVID protocol, and Devin Booker has the nose injury. You have the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard's out, the Hawks, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, and of course with the Bucks, you have Giannis. So I believe that especially when you look at last year going into this year too, every team has really played through and have went through a lot this season. When you think about the schedule uncertainty, you're not sure when games you're going to play, when you're going to play them. You may have back-to-back games, and then a game you thought is going to be tomorrow is going to be next week. You have the COVID protocol, and when a player is on COVID protocol, they can't do anything. They have to sit down, and they can't exercise. They can't do anything. So their body just kind of just sits there, and it gets used to being still. Then they're thrown right back into the action, which can really mess up the team chemistry. And they're playing 72 games and an all-star game in a span of 5 months. So a lot of the players have already attested that it's a physically and mentally draining that this season has put them through. So I believe whoever wins this championship has earned it.
Will this season go down in history as one of the weirdest on top of 2020? Obviously, yeah. These are gonna be the 2 seasons that everybody looks back on as sort of like aberrations. But should that mean that there's an asterisk on the championship? Absolutely not. And there's a few reasons why I believe it. But like Dee touched on it and she explained it beautifully. Everybody's been going through injuries. It's not like there's been one team that lost their star player and then everybody else still had it. Devin Booker has a busted nose. Chris Paul's been hurt most of the playoffs. Trae Young's got the foot problem and the Hawks are missing. DeAndre Hunter on top of Bogdanovich is playing on one leg, and now Clint Capella's got an eye injury. Like, they've been injury riddled. The Bucks, they just lost Giannis, and then the Clippers lost Kawhi. And everybody else that was in the playoffs had some sort of like some star go out. So everybody was kind of on a level playing field. And then my other reason for it would be you can only play who's in front of you. You can't fault a team for beating somebody that lost their star player. That's not on them. That's an accident that happened. Now, as we've pointed out, and as we've seen from a lot of different places, injuries have been up this year, and we can obviously point to the fact that they had to play 72 games over the span of 5 months, and the fact that the NBA never should have gone for such a mass amount of games in such a small period of time. It should have been something closer to the lockout shortened season where they played like 50 games, 60 games, and you gave them plenty of times in between. They could have handled a lot better. And plus, if we put an asterisk on this season, there's going to have to be an asterisk on next season too, because they're starting the season in October and the finals aren't going to be over till July. So they're going to get another shortened off season. We're barely going to have summer league, barely going to have workouts. So then are we going to put an asterisk on next season too? And trying to put an asterisk on this season, I feel like also just because of the injuries, you would then have to put an asterisk on almost every season that's been majorly impacted by an injury or injuries. And I just think you can't do it. Like the teams can only beat who's in front of them. It's not their fault that somebody went down with an injury. So don't try to take away from their accomplishment because of something that happened that was completely out of their control.
But let me go ahead and make this clear. So I don't think there should be an asterisk at all, because I think injuries are a part of sports. And I think TV harped on it pretty well when he said we have to show love to those role players from the Suns, role players from the Hawks showing up. A lot of guys that we aren't really familiar with coming into big games. But I feel like one thing that we're going to have to question, our kids aren't going to remember about this championship and this playoffs, because, I mean, it's so far in the future, right? But we're all going to know in our heads this is really questionable. We're going to have some questions about this. Let me just name some of the names who were hurt significantly. You got Jamal Murray, Jaylen Brown, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid, CP3 coming off a shoulder injury and COVID symptoms, Mike Conley, Spider Mitchell, and now Giannis. And then we also have Trae Young coming off an ankle injury. That is nearly all the top 10, all the star players hurt in one season. A lot of star power is gone. And I feel like it opens a factor of what if. And I understand there shouldn't be an asterisk, but it's going to be the respect for the champion. How much respect are we going to have for what if? Because I feel like the more what ifs you have, the less respect you're going to end up getting in the long run. And we can't really take away, but if we're going to take away, we're going to put an asterisk towards this one. We'd have to put an asterisk towards Steph first winning the finals. When LeBron went in there and Kyrie and K Love got hurt. We're going to take away from Kawhi's too, because we all know very well that if Kevin Durant played in that finals, it would have been over in 5. Confidently, because I don't think they were that good. But I feel like we won't really get to see that asterisk or really get to denote that team until the next season. Because let's say the Hawks win the championship right here. If the Hawks, I know that would make a lot of people very happy. If the Hawks win the championship, right, and go into next season, everyone's healthy, and they're maybe a 6 seed and get bounced out in the first round, a lot of questions are going to be asked about that Atlanta Hawks team. Were they really that good? And just say if Miami had won last season against the Los Angeles Lakers, somehow, if they would have went out like they would have went out this season, a lot of questions are going to be asked about how good was that team really. And I feel like we really won't be able to tell towards this season, but you have to show respect towards the other players who are getting the job done.
Even then, I can't say you put an asterisk, because then it's more of just like they got hot at the right time. So they're not a great team. It was a great run. There's a difference between the asterisk for the Houston Astros, where they're like cheating and stealing signs, and then like there's just a bunch of injuries. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. All right, TV. I got last question for you. We're gonna let you go. You have played in a lot of AAU runs, a lot of EYBL runs, where you've seen a lot of extreme talent. If you were to beat one of those teams, knowing one of their main guys wasn't playing, would it mean as much to you as a competitor?
Nah, not to me. Cause I'm the type of dude, I want to play the best of the best. I want the best foot forward. I want to see what's going on for real. I want to test my limit, see where I'm at. If this the guy supposed to be all he say he's supposed to be, or what people speculate for him to be, I want to play that dude. Like, I want to go against him. I don't care. Like, he can talk with the talk, but he's gonna have to walk the walk with me. Like, I'm all for it. So if I play against his team and he's sitting on the bench with like a little ankle injury or something, like, yeah, of course I'm gonna play to win and stuff, but I'm not gonna feel like it's not gonna feel the same for me, because like I know their best player wasn't there, because quote unquote he probably would have made the game even different. And I wanna be there, so I wanna hear no excuses, no none of that. Shoulda, woulda, I'm not with any of that. I want the best foot forward, and that's what I'm going for.
Okay, and this is the last question, and we're gonna let you go. Your last 2 games of the season, you dropped 20 points, 27 points. I think you averaged about 5 assists. Are we gonna see more of that coming into next season?
Hey, I don't want to jinx anything, but we're gonna have to stay tuned, my boy. Hey, it's coming. It's all coming together. That's all I can really tell you. I ain't have to brag or nothing, but I'm gonna have to do what I have to do. If the coach want me to score, I'm gonna score. They want me to be on the floor, that's what I'm gonna do. Anything I need to do to win, hey, let's do it. So, but in all, I love to score the ball and get an assist. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't have to. I'm not that type of dude. I just have to have 20 points or I'm gonna feel upset. Like a team win for me is that's great. I'm living with it. I got 6 points. I'm fine. We won, baby.
Okay, and we can all respect that. Thank you so much, man, for coming out. I know you be in the gym. I know you be practicing. I know you trying to get right. Thanks for coming out to Takeover. We definitely enjoyed you coming out here, TV.
I appreciate y'all for having me. I gotta be back soon, though. Y'all gotta have me in one more at least.
Okay, we'll set that up. We'll set it up for you.
You're welcome.
Y'all have a nice night.
Same to you, man.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate it.
So moving on now that unfortunately TB had to leave us, but we're going to move on to my realm of sports, professional Major League Baseball. And there's been a lot of controversy recently because Rob Manfred, in his infinite wisdom, decided to crack down on the use of foreign substances completely in the middle of the season, to the point where we're now having mandatory umpire checks and coaches asking for inspections of gloves, arms, whatnot. So what are we thinking? Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What's up?
I think it's a great move by MLB, cracking down on something that's definitely giving players a clear advantage. But then this made me really think about it. So I went up to Google and I searched, what is the definition of cheating? Is the act of acting dishonesty or unfairly in order to gain advantage, especially in a game or examination. And I'm sorry to break it to America and everybody else, but cheating is a part of sports. Like, as crazy as it sounds, I believe that everyone in sports cheats, and the people who get away with it end up getting away with it. You look at it, you look at the game of basketball. We see so many push-offs. I mean, that's being dishonest to the ref. We see a lot of people flopping. That's giving the offense an unfair advantage. It's already hard to play defense. You're gonna flop so no one can touch you now. I feel like that's a form of cheating. You think of football, you could call holding on almost every play of football if you wanted to. You got linemen holding, you got linemen holding shoulder pads. You got all this, you got this room. You got flopping in sports like soccer. I think cheating or gaining the edge is just a part of sports. And I just feel like some baseball players aren't good at hiding it. And so this is why this has become a huge scandal. So what I call it, is it bad that they're doing this? Kind of, but I mean, everyone has their niche. Everyone wants to get up their weight of advantage. So if this is what pitchers have been doing to get their advantage, they haven't been calling out for years. So why call it out now, you know? But I'm glad they're cracking down on cheating so other players don't get that fair advantage. But I mean, cheating is a part of sports in my book.
All right, so before today, I was not very informed about the substance that they were using. I wasn't sure because I know that some players use it to get a spin on the ball or for better grip, but I wasn't sure, like, does it give a huge advantage or is it like chalk that gymnasts use before they go up on the bar or something? But either way, if they are using a foreign substance, I think that some sort of punishment should be inflicted. Because it isn't fair to the players that don't use it. And I believe anything that gives somebody an advantage over another team, it should be checked. But my only criticism is if the MLB is going to implement this, they should make sure that they do it the right way, meaning figure out all the details and the criteria and everything, and apply it to every team and every player that breaks the guidelines, do it fairly and be very consistent. So even though we know there are a number of players who actually use it, there are a number of players who think it's not fair and they shouldn't be using it at all. The goal is to be on an even playing field. So whether you allow it or you don't allow it, just make sure it is fair to everyone else. But in my personal opinion, I believe they should not allow it because, I mean, let's just keep it real. Do you really need it? Okay, we're talking about a professional baseball league. You made it to this point in your career because of your talents and your skill. Therefore, why do you need something to give you an advantage? And to me, that shows that you don't have full confidence in your own ability and that you're insecure or something about it. That's just my opinion. Why do you need something to make you better? You should put as much faith as you put in that substance or whatever they're using, put in your skill, put in yourself.
As both make some very good points. I believe that the issue is very, very nuanced. My biggest problem is the fact that MLB decided to do it in the middle of the season. If they had done it like in the offseason and said, hey, this is what we're going to start doing, as they claimed they would before the season, but then they didn't actually do it. So then they just kind of randomly decided we're just going to start going crazy about it in June. I think that that's terrible because pitchers have gotten into a routine. Some of these pitchers have been using stuff for years, and just kind of to making them go cold turkey can have a massive impact. I mean, we saw Tyler Glasnow, who he knows his body very well, and he said he tore his UCL in his elbow, which is going to be a big injury, especially for a pitcher. He said it was almost directly because he had to stop using a certain substance that he used to get a better grip. And that leads me into the biggest point that I want to make here. This whole idea of where they're cracking down on foreign substances, the problem that I have with it is the MLB cracked down on every foreign substance. And it's not every foreign substance that necessarily gives them a massive competitive advantage. Should pitchers be able to doctor the ball and put stuff on it to make it move differently? Absolutely not. And that should not be any part of the rule. That's why they've outlawed stuff like spitters and whatnot. But using something, there are certain things out there that they use to get a better grip on the ball. I would argue that that should be legal because that's exactly what hitters do. Hitters put pine tar on their bats to give them a better grip of the bat so that they can better control it, or so it doesn't slip while they're swinging. Pitchers do the exact same thing. As part of what happens, they have the rosin bag out there. If you combine that with sweat, you get a very sticky substance. So a lot of times what they're using it for is just to make sure they can get a grip on it so they can throw their best stuff and not get absolutely embarrassed. Because the way that MLB prepares the balls and does this, that, and the other. There's a lot of problems with how they do it because not every ball is the same, and a lot of them end up like really slick and kind of dusty and hard to get a grip on. So I understand why pitchers are outraged. I understand why some hitters are outraged because there are some people out there using foreign substances that give them a competitive advantage. My biggest problem is they didn't set the criteria before the season. They did it in the middle of the season, and they're outlawing stuff that isn't necessarily used for a competitive advantage. It's just used to get a better grip on the ball, which, as I said, hitters use stuff to get a better grip on the bat. So,
Josh, since you're more of a baseball guy than I am, I would ask you this question here. What would be the difference between this foreign substance and one of our favorite receivers wearing gloves that obviously enhance his ability to catch the ball? Because I feel like, it's enhancing their ability, but we wouldn't call that cheating in a round.
So you're saying in football you're allowed to wear the gloves that?
Yeah,
so
because
it should be relatively similar to me because the gloves, as long as they're not like that old defensive back in the 70s that would like just slather himself and
stick them. Yeah,
that's different. Like slathering yourself, I would say gives you a competitive advantage. But just wearing gloves that are sticky, like it's really just kind of making it easier to do your job that without giving you some like insane competitive advantage. So again, if they're doctoring the ball, if a pitcher is doctoring the ball or using something that like actually affects the way it moves through the air, then yeah, they shouldn't be able to do that. I think pine tar is one of them. I think that like it messes up the ball, the way it flies through the air. But if they're just using something like the popular one is sunscreen. If they're using sunscreen, then that shouldn't be outlawed. That's just helping them get a grip on it somehow.
So would you call it cheating? Or would you so you wouldn't call it cheating?
Because like I said, batters put pine tar on their bats all the time to make sure that they have a better grip on the bat. So why can't pitchers put something to have a better grip on the ball?
Definitely interesting.
And I would argue it's also important for player safety because if you've got a pitcher up there that doesn't know where the ball's going and he's throwing this ball 95 miles an hour, that can hurt somebody.
Very true as well. Well, that is going to wrap up our episode for today. Do you guys have anything to say?
Hawks and 6.
It very well looks like it.
Hawks and 6, man. It's a team of destiny.
I said it. I did say that. I did say they're the team of destiny. They are the team of destiny. It just looks like it's all falling apart for them.
Who would have thought? Trae Young goes down. Referee carrying out Adam Silver's plan to get Giannis finally in a finals. He sees his opportunity, tells the ref, step forward a little bit. Next thing you know, Lou Will comes out, gives him 21 on 9 shots. Just saying.
Hey, lemon pepper Lou.
He got a little something in him.
Definitely. Well, we are going to catch you guys later. Takeover out.
Hey, champ. Yeah, we play it all in night. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we're ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind all the muscle, pull up. Poker right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a face. And when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a